Oops. There we go. Hey guys, it's Cameron Coates from Motivational Media. Today I'm going to be reading you guys a book. Hey, this is called Street Smarts. It's an all-purpose toolkit for entrepreneurs. So this is about how entrepreneurs started their own company, how they became successful. Like some of them didn't have a college degree, like Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, Steve Jobs, Apple, Bill Gates, Microsoft. All those guys who became entrepreneurs but didn't have a college degree. So let's get to this reading right now, okay? This book is by Norm Brodsky and Bo Burlingham. So let's get to it right now. So let's go to the page. All right. Preface: The 10 Commandments of Business. Economies go up and down, but the fundamentals of business don't change. That's one thing we've all learned since the hardcover edition of this book, originally entitled The Knack, first appeared in the fall of 2008. Since the book's publication, people have asked me about my co-author, Bo Burlingham, to put together a list of the most important rules to keep in mind as they build their companies. Here's what we've come up with. Number 1. Numbers run a business. If you don't know how to read them, you're flying blind. When I started out, I thought that CEOs ran businesses with the help of their top executives. What I didn't realize is that a business is living entity or initially, or however you pronounce it. I'm not really good at pronouncing that much words though, but I'll spell it out for you. Where's it right over? Alright. ENTITY. Sorry, I'm not really good at pronouncing. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold right now, but I'm gonna horse my way through this. Anyways, with needs of its own. And unless unless the leaders pay attention to those needs, the business will fail. So how do you know what those needs are? There's only one way: by looking at the numbers and understanding the relationships between them. They will tell you how good your sales are, whether or not you can afford to hire a new salesperson or office manager, how much cash you'll need to deal with the new business. Changes will have and on and on. Changes will go on tenaciously. If you guys wondering what tenaciously means, is when it goes on and on and on. Anyway, you can't afford to wait until your accountant tells you these things after the fact, nor do you have to become an accountant yourself. You do have to know enough accounting, however, to figure out which numbers are most important in your particular business, and then you should develop the habit of watching them like a hawk. Number 2. Cash is hard to get and easy to spend. Make it before you spend it. Most people don't understand the value of cash when they go into business. If they did, they wouldn't waste it by purchasing fancy business cards and stationery, or spending money on dozens of other things. They don't need to deplete their startup capital without getting a business in 1 inch closer to viability. That is the point at which company it can sustain itself on its own internally generated cash flow. But it's just not the startup for entrepreneurs who waste cash. The corporate landscape is littered with the corpse of companies whose leaders thought the good times last forever and spent money they hadn't yet made luxuries or they didn't need. That I made that mistake. I made that mistake myself once, and I paid the consequences. One of the lessons I learned was make money first. Like you want to make money first though, because you don't want to like waste time playing video games. Like fuck that though. Like what you really want to do is focus on making lots of money. Like work hard and hard. You can make tons of billions of dollars, or maybe like more or less than that. That you can make harder. You know, the harder you work, the more money you make. Then you can get what you want. Trust me. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Where was I? Oh, there I am. If you're smart, you'll put some of it aside for a rainy day. Whatever is left over, you can spend as you please. You can pay big bonuses to your employees. You can make big donations to charity. You can buy a corporate jet. You can run for president or prime minister or whatever, or just president if you're talking about businesses, or not have enough for countries though, but sorry about that. Whatever, but first you must earn it. Like you have to, like you want to do what you want, you got to earn it though first. So like you can't just go down the highway and just say, "Oh, I'm going to do it." You got to earn it. You got to earn it first, okay? Keep that to yourself, okay? If you're a cynic, don't keep it to yourself. Like just say you're going to just do this. Like don't be a cynic. Like if you're an optimist, listen to me. If you're a cynic, disobey me. Anyways, back to the tour. Back to what we were talking about. Don't focus on the top. Number 3. Don't focus on the top line. Gross margin is the most important number on the income statement. In the early days of business, everybody obsesses about sales. We want to see them increase constantly. The faster, the better. But focusing exclusively on sales is dangerous, especially when you're working with limited capital. Instead, you should be tracking your gross margin. That is the percentage of your money left over. After accounting for the direct cost of whatever it is you're selling. Gross profit is sales minus cost of goods sold. Gross margin, the percent of the sales represents. I believe gross margin is one of the most important numbers, if not the most important number in any business. In the startup phase, it determines whether or not you'll survive long enough to reach viability. Thereafter, it continues to the major impact on your ability to grow the company. It takes the same amount of time and energy to build a low margin business as it does build a high margin one, but you'll have more to show for your efforts of if you stay focused on maximizing the gross profit you earn. A sale isn't a sale until you collect. And that's number 4. Number 4. A sale isn't a sale till you collect. Starting now, most of us tend to believe when somebody buys something from us, it's like money in the bank. Sooner or later, we're going to get paid. That's not always true. Of course, in just how much sooner or later the payment arrives can make a big difference. But most people think about that. I'm in the beginning. The term bad debt doesn't enter their vocabulary until they suddenly find themselves with a receivable and they can't collect. By the same token, the concept of collection time doesn't become meaningful until they discover they don't have enough cash to pay their bills. Despite having made a lot of sales, remember, when you deliver a product or a service before getting paid, what the fuck am I? Sorry, where am I? We're getting paid. where you're making a loan to the customer, you should treat it accordingly. That means determining whether customers are credit worthy and find out in advance how long they take to pay their bills. It also means getting into the habit of regularly checking the state of your receivables and making sure your average collection time is what it should be. Number 5, when your short-term liabilities exceed your short-term assets, you're bankrupt. The vast majority of people in small businesses, I suspect, have no idea what a balance sheet is or how it differs from income statement, otherwise known as P&L, for profit and loss. The balance sheet certainly doesn't figure into the decision making. It didn't figure into mine until I wound up in bankruptcy court. These I learned that a company is bankrupt, at least technically, when its current liabilities, that is the ones that have to be paid within the next 12 months, are greater than the account than its current assets. That ones will turn into cash within the next 12 months. That information comes straight off of the balance sheet. I could have saved myself a lot of grief and pain if I'd gotten into the habit of looking into a regular basis and keeping track of the most important ratio derived from it, namely into the current ratio, which measures a company's ability to meet its short-term debt obligations or however you pronounce that word. You calculate it by dividing your current assets by your current liabilities. If the ratio is 1.25 or higher, you're in fairly good shape. If it's less than 1.100, you could be headed for trouble. Yes, you may be able to juggle your payables and other short-term debts for a while, but you should move quickly to restore your liquidity. Otherwise, you're taking a risk of one day finding yourself with no cash to pay your bills. A potentially fatal condition. We'll take a break from that chapter as we'll come back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'm Cameron Coates from Motivational Media. Good night, guys.